And so we find ourselves in a sixth line day. Gate 24, line 6 is called the gift horse. Sixth lines are really good at verifying the validity of the fifth line and of their whole hexagram. So they can look at the confession that the fifth line has just made, and the sixth line has the authority to say, you know, actually, he's still a jerk. Or not, of course. Or at least that's how we would usually look at the sixth line. That's the authority we would usually assign to them, that they are this validator. But here, the sixth line may not actually have heard the confession at all. The lifetime learning says the possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks. Individuality, as we know, can be very deaf and stubborn, and it's a genetic trait. You know, they carry it, and it supports their process because they don't want to be influenced. It keeps their mutation clean to be a little bit deaf. A few lines back, I mentioned that this gate and this channel can often have a very noisy mind. You're perhaps having tinnitus or noises in the ears and that kind of thing. Ra says that that's one way for them to be legitimately deaf. Of course, they could also have very acute hearing. We have both ends of this always. It's just that in their acute hearing, they still don't want to hear anything. So selectively deaf. I think my father was selectively deaf. You know, you talk right over and he wouldn't hear a word, but as soon as you swore, he'd be like, right there. What did you say? Yeah, okay, not so deaf after all, Dad. Thank you. Anyway, so this is a sixth line that cannot be relied upon to verify the validity of the fifth line in their process. They can be very deaf when they want to be. The exaltation tells us the conscious participation in a process that prepares one for easy identification of opportunity. Identification and focus with the rational thought process. This is the story of the Trojan horse. You know, Ra tells us that it's really about paying attention. And it's very difficult for an individual sixth line to get beyond themselves somehow, because by their very nature, they are selfish and not really concerned with others. They're not part of the sharing of the collective or the support of the tribe. They're really only concerned with empowerment. So the evolution of the individual sixth line can be much slower. It can take a lot longer. So the lifetime learning for them truly can almost be a whole lifetime learning thing. No, deathbed. Oh, that's what it meant. Great. So these are not individuals who can be trusted to assess the universalization of their hexagram. It's much less common to find six lines in the individual circuitry who are able to do that and to do it consistently or well. Now the sixth line, remember, is in resonance to the third line. You know, we have the 1 and the 4, the 2 and the 5, and the 3 and the 6. And the 24-3 was called the addict. So the addict gets an enormous amount of inspiration. You know, they really suck it up, and then they break the bond with wherever or whoever they got their inspiration from. So what happens to the sixth line? Early in their life, they discover really quickly that it is not easy to mutate things, you know, to get their mutation out. They get burned when they try to do that. And so they back off and they wait for their opportunity, because they trust that one will come that will actually do it for them, and they're not going to engage if they don't find that one that is going to really light them up and give them the opportunity to get their mutation out. The detriment tells us an innate suspicion which leads inevitably to lost opportunities, often irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. We also know that this is a dormant line because it's in Pluto, so we can move on from that one. And we go into gate 44, line 6, which is called aloofness. And this sixth line here gives us a sixth line keynote for all six lines, aloofness. The sixth line who is playing deaf can seem aloof. This aloofness can help to keep them separate when they want to be left alone, when they perceive that there is nothing of value for them to get involved with while they're waiting for their opportunities, for whatever's going to call them down from the roof, that's what will draw out their wisdom. We have Jupiter on the move today. Jupiter is going into gate 8 at 15:45 BST. I haven't said that in a while, but all of these timings are in BST. Gate 8 is the gate of contribution. It's a throat center gate, and it has the need to contribute something unique to the collective eventually, although it's an individual gate, but attracting attention as it contributes, which then leads to the creation of an identity based on that contribution. Gate 8 is throat gate, but it's pointing down into the G center. So it's looking to have that identity. So this could be the agent or the manager to the artist, the self-expressive artist in gate 1 at the other end of the channel. It's a gate that is drawn to what is new, what is innovative, what gets called attention to, and it will promote that. It will get it out because it senses that it carries this new and potentially mutative energy. And that can change the direction of the totality. The moon currently taking us through the solar plexus. First, we have gate 30 at 10:33. This is the gate of feelings, which is currently in a channel here with Pluto in gate 41. And this is the channel of recognition of feelings. It's a channel between two powerful motors there, the root, the solar plexus, and it is the longing to learn through feeling. It's a longing that's driven by desire, and it has or should have nothing to do with expectation. It's the experience that matters. There can be a restlessness here because there's the fuel to constantly look for new experiences. It's the start of the human experiential way. So there's that constant, oh, I've had that experience, let's move on, let's move on. So always we come to strategy and authority, and always it's one thing at a time, one experience at a time. It's cyclical in nature. So always running through the whole of this human experiential way is the power of closings and openings, correct closings and openings for the cycle to continue. The individual solar plexus gate 55 comes in at 8 this evening, and it's abundance. It's the gate of spirit. It's about finding spirit awareness, which is ultimately mutative, and it can deeply impact the world and those people that it comes into contact with. So we could explore here whether or not we can surrender to momentary moods as we move through the emotional wave from hope to pain and back again. Can we do that without needing to find a reason, but just simply accept the chemistry that is part of the mechanic? Can we honor our mood and our need for timing? Can we experience some of that today as we move through this transit? And then at 5:31 tomorrow morning, we have gate 37, the gate of friendship, and the manifestation of the organic nature of communities. So you may find yourself being open and friendly as this transit passes through, easily engaging with others and being sensitive to harmony and the mutual support that bargains can bring, correct bargains, or not, always the or not. So if you are not generally tribal in your nature, how does the 37 land with you? Can you feel its energies? Are you more aware of the bargains? You may not be necessarily initiating any bargains yourself, but are you aware of them happening around you? Or you may be more aware of something that you have entered into that maybe you hadn't realized that you have. Tomorrow we have a new gate, of course, but we also have a new quarter in the wheel. So we have traveled through this quarter of initiation over these last few gates here, almost since the beginning of the year, really. We've been through purpose fulfilled through mind. That's what initiation is. And we're moving into the quarter of civilization, which is purpose fulfilled through form, purpose which must materialize into some kind of form in order for it to fulfill its potential. And in this quarter, we find all the throat gates. The sun goes through all of these throat gates as we go through this journey over the next 12 weeks. Is it 12 weeks? It's 16 weeks. It's 16 gates. It's 16 gates in a quarter because we've got 64 gates in the wheel. So don't seem to do maths today. So all the throat gates will go through, and I think we have a chunk, and then we have something in the middle, and then we have another chunk at the end. So that's going to be our journey over the next little while. The throat is the center for manifestation, so it makes sense really that we have purpose fulfilled through form, the form being a manifestation. So that all fits together. The wheel turns and our journey continues. So as always, I would say to you, go gently. Have a lovely day, evening, sleep, whichever part of the day it is that you're listening to this. And I will see you tomorrow for a new gate, for a new quarter, and a line one. Thank you for watching.